Hello and welcome into another edition of the PHNX D-Backs podcast right on PHNX. My name is Derek Montilla. Of course, I'm occasionally known as your mayor of PHNX. This man is occasionally known as your vice mayor of PHNX. And here's the one and only Jesse Friedman. Jesse, another wonderful day of getting sunburned out at Salt River Fields.
Hey, I wore sunscreen today, Derek.
You took care of yourself today. I did not. But of course, it was. My day started off with walking out to the field with Brent Strom, and I can't tell you people enough how much I love Brent Strom and how good of a coach I think he is. But he's even a better human being. And to walk out with him and just have a brief moment where we both shared our love for baseball, and he just looked at me and said, "Is there anything better in life than baseball?" And it's like, yeah, there probably is, but not really, because baseball's the best. You know what I mean? Like, especially walking out there at this time of the year in that beautiful weather and having just so much excitement about this team as we approach the first game being played here in spring training this Friday.
Yeah, I mean, wow, look at you, Derek. Just casually walking onto the, where all the practice fields are at Salt River Fields with Brent Strom.
I'll tell you, man, right. I was not meaning for that to happen, but when it did, I just let it happen. Because when you get to be in the presence of somebody as legendary in the baseball world as Stromy, and you get to be in the presence of somebody who has just the wisdom that he has, you just listen. You just shut up and you listen and you take in everything you can from a man like that.
Yeah, Stromy is great, absolutely. Another fun day being out there. The weather was fantastic. Continues to be glorious. You just have to soak up every moment of Diamondback spring training because it's just lovely. But yeah, not a particularly eventful day, I guess, at least not compared to the last few where we've had, honestly, way too many things that we could have talked about.
I'm okay with that. I am okay with an uneventful day where we just got to watch them play baseball because, the last few days we have been discussing a lot. We've been kind of going back and forth on the stadium issue, obviously. We know that the TV deal is still unresolved. There is a Diamondbacks game being played this Friday that we do not know where we're going to watch it or how we're going to watch it. I feel like the Diamondbacks are fairly confident still in their fallback that MLB will produce these games should they not have something basically figured out by then. But I'm not sure if that's the case because, spring training is here. Time has run out.
Yeah, some interesting news topics to get into. We discovered, I think it was yesterday, that Merrill Kelly and Zach Gallen, we won't see those guys in games for a while. Merrill Kelly, Torey Lovullo throughout March 8th for him. Zach Gallen, March 1st. I guess those guys just kind of have a different view on things. Gallen wants to kind of get back in there and get throwing sooner, whereas Merrill is maybe, happier just kind of taking some time here in spring training. D-backs certainly have already voiced their desire to slow play both of those guys and make sure that they're, not going too hard coming off the extended postseason run and all that. So, yeah, I don't think you're going to see either of those guys for a while, but we do know that Eduardo Rodriguez is starting on Friday against the Colorado Rockies. There you go.
I kind of speculated on that a bit. I was meaning more about the regular season, I think, when I brought it up, but still, it doesn't feel like a terrible idea when you have guys that are more well-rested, that are newer parts of this team, to allow those guys to kind of kick things off early and give the rest of the Diamondbacks players that had such a short offseason that extra amount of time. It doesn't hurt at all. And especially considering the innings that both Merrill Kelly and Zach Gallen threw, you want to try to slow play them. Like you have a careful balancing act of both getting them prepared and allowing them to kind of do it at their own pace a little bit here, especially with Merrill.
Sure. Yeah, and this is something we've seen in the past too. I mean, I think about Zach Greinke back in the day. people would, of course, always be freaking out about his velocity or whatnot
when
he came into spring.
When he's throwing 80, 82 miles an hour.
Yeah, I mean, spring is just kind of a weird time of year for those starting pitchers who are just really good and, kind of know themselves well and know what they need to do to be prepared for the season. You're not as really as concerned about those guys this time of year. And especially given the season the Diamondbacks just had and all of the innings that those two guys threw, I think it makes a lot of sense to back off them as long as they're still ready for the season. But with the amount of preparation that those two guys put in, I don't think you're really too concerned about that at this point.
We got an update on Kevin Ginkel as well, who seems to be coming along nicely. It doesn't seem like that injury is going to prevent him from missing any significant time.
Yeah, we'll see. He threw a bullpen session yesterday and came out of that okay. Torey said, there was maybe some initial rust or whatnot. But yeah, he came out of it feeling okay. And, hopefully for the Diamondbacks, we've talked about how important Kevin Ginkel is to this team and how difficult it would be to replace him for really any length of time. He's a really, really important piece of this bullpen.
Incredibly important.
So, yeah, I don't think you're going to see him in a spring training game for a while. I think he's going to do another 1 or 2 bullpen sessions before he actually does live BP. And then at that point, he could transition into actually facing other players in actual spring training games. So he's still a little ways away from that standpoint. He is still going to be on a slower pace here in spring training, but so far the situation doesn't look alarming. And that is, the moment you hear elbow soreness, immediately all of the alarm bells go off.
I freaked out when I heard fluid. Like when I heard fluid on the elbow, that was the point where I was like, what is happening? Sure. This is starting to go down a path that I don't like. But a lot of that is kind of standard stuff for a pitcher. It's just when it starts to become an issue, that's where you hear of those symptoms kind of coming together and causing a problem. Hopefully Ginkel is good because, like you said, he's very, very difficult to replace. And if you start, when you start looking at the bullpen, we know they didn't add to the bullpen, but that might be the area where their depth is lacking a little bit. They do have some good options, and those options came together in an incredible way for 2 months last season. But we still don't know the identity of this bullpen, if they're going to be able to perform at that same level throughout 2024. And of course, if an injury could really impact them where things fall apart by pulling that one kind of piece out like Kevin Ginkel.
Yeah. And this is the time of year where we're supposed to react. We're supposed to overreact,
it's my specialty.
to everything that we see in live BP.
Yeah. Right.
If Ryan Thompson goes in there and strikes out 2 guys and gets a pop-up, then Ryan Thompson, he should be the closer, right? And then, if Miguel Castro comes in and gives up a homer to Ketel Marte, he shouldn't make the team, right? No, he shouldn't even be there.
Fans are roasting him on our Twitter account because we did post this video that we have of Ketel Marte, in fact, hitting that homer that Jesse's talking about off of it. Look at this. By the way, Jesse and I decided way too late that we should be doing commentary over live BP. This is something that Jesse brilliantly came up with today, and there's no time left. We don't have any more live BP, but look at this. Look at that man. Oh, we told you he was dialed in yesterday. We weren't lying. He went over and did push-ups after he hit that home run, by the way. He got down on the ground and did push-ups. How are you going to show up your own teammate like that by hitting a dinger off him and then do push-ups? You're going to do push-ups? Oh, man, I love it.
It does feel a little disrespectful.
It does.
I'm sure it's all in good fun. But I really enjoy live BP. I know some people, who've maybe been covering baseball for a while. They're like, what's even the point of watching this stuff? But you don't see teams have inter-squad anything, any kind of competition much like throughout the regular season. That's not really something we ever see. So it's fun to see, how Miguel Castro attacks Ketel Marte, and we saw Ryan Thompson face a few hitters today as well. It's fun to just kind of see how they interact and, see them speculate on which pitches are balls and strikes, and then wait for the guy who's set up with the machine behind home plate or with the computer that can tell them whether it was actually a ball or a strike. So yeah, it's just a fascinating portion of spring training where we get to see this.
Let's see. Dean in the chat says Brent Strom is wise like those old creatures in Dark Crystal. He knows all. Is that Gelflings? I think those are Gelflings. And then Transonic wants to know, did you guys murder Patrick, or is he tied up with duct tape in Jesse's closet? Look,
no comment.
Look, when you come on here and you hit me with the sick burn that he hit me with yesterday, you don't get invited back. That's the way things work. I'm very petty, and you guys know that about me. But
he's making ageist comments to you. Mm-hmm. He's complaining about the lack of paper towels in my household. He's staying in your
home for free, and he's going to come on this show and have the audacity to complain about paper towels. Go buy some paper towels yourself, Patrick, you freeloader. I'm saying.
He's not welcome back.
No,
he never will be.
We're definitely Patrick's not part of this connected team that Jesse and I are over here. But speaking of which, Alec Thomas hit a lovely line drive off Mitchell Stumpo. And of course, when you talk about overreacting, we should clearly read into this a ton.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Do we have that video? Yeah, Alec Thomas, several pitches into the at bat. It's just
smacked it.
There you go, right in the right center field gap. I think Alec Thomas is probably going to hit 325 this year based on that swing
alone.
On
that one hit. Let's go. I'm ready.
It is overreaction.
No, but it does. It is because we have no idea what pitchers are working on. We don't even have any idea because they don't talk to us. They don't tell us their little game plan. As much as we want Torey to come over and tell us what they're all working on, he refuses to do it. I will say that sometimes pitchers are being instructed not to go full speed, or sometimes, batters are looking to do something specifically or whatever when you're out there. So you never really know. But what I will say is the offense has looked great out there in live BP. Pitching at times, besides Brandon Pfaadt, who was just kind of sitting fools down, that was a different story yesterday. But I really do feel like offensively, especially Cattell, has looked really, really good so far. I mean, just hitting the ball well. Of course, I don't know. The sound of baseball being hit is so beautiful that it's hard for me not to think every single batter is hitting the ball well. But yeah, I mean, it really feels like these guys are ready to go. I'm excited about this team.
Yeah, it's it's just a fun time of year where it's the season for optimism, and everyone's in the best shape of their lives, and everyone looks great.
I'm being too optimistic. Here, let me give you some negativity, shall I? Every single live BP I've seen of Gino Suarez, he struck out. There you go. So that lives up to the hype, apparently. But Torey did talk about Eduardo. He talked about some of the other guys and just how, obviously over the last few days, we've heard about how well the new guys are fitting in. And we've seen it with our own eyes. We've seen Erod playing dominoes and talking about meal recipes. We've seen Gino out there just with Christian Walker and with Ketel Marte, and they look like they've been teammates for years. So it does really feel like these guys are fitting in. But that might be by design. Torey was asked today about the whole team chemistry aspect. And I mean, you know how much we love this team being a connected team and a fucking dangerous team because it's a connected team. But it's a real thing. And when Torey talks about team chemistry, I feel like the way he has constructed this team over years, the way Mike Hazen has constructed this team, what they're looking for out of guys, what they're trying to find when they go out and acquire these free agents or trade for guys like Gino, they are trying to find guys that are going to fit their this standard that they're trying to set. They're trying to fit guys that do come in and pick up their teammates and add something to their teammates. And I mean, you can't argue with the fact that this team last year probably had no business doing what they did in the playoffs. And at times it was through the power of friendship. That power of friendship is being a connected and dangerous team. And I mean, this is what Torey's comments on on being connected and what it means to have team chemistry.
Yeah, it's something that Mike and I have had a lot of conversation about, and he believes in team chemistry. It's a real thing, because there are going to be some dog days, and you're gonna want to feel like you're never fighting alone, and you got to link things together. Baseball is a team sport. Yes, you're going to be playing individually at times, but one player X can go 4 for 4 and still lose a baseball game. But if you link all that together and get good pitching with timely hitting and good defense, you're going to win a game. I think we all understand that. The synergy is real. It's a proven thing. So I've asked you guys at times to look up the Belgian Draft horses. I see. And have you researched that?
I have, but I'm not going to pretend I remember what the answer was.
Yeah, so that'll be a little homework assignment for everybody. The contest for Belgian Draft horses and how much they can drag together, drag with a partner, and then drag with a partner that they've grown up with or know personally. It's a real thing. So we believe in synergy here, and things are gonna be tested. And if you don't stay together, you can fragment. It can tear you apart in a hurry. So yes, we have vetted the right personalities, the right people that come in this clubhouse and fit this culture. This culture has been handcrafted for a long time, and it's real, it's alive, and the players make it breathe. And we don't just talk about it, we live it every single day.
Let's fucking talk Belgian draft horses, shall we? I know that's what you came here to see. I did the homework for you guys. Allow Jesse and I to be your cliff notes, if you will, for Belgian draft horses. Why is that a thing? Why does he bring that up? Why is that the homework that he gives us? Well, Belgian draft horses are known as the biggest and strongest horse when it comes to pulling. And they do these pulling competitions where they go to see how much, which horse can pull the most. It's strongman competition, but strong horse competition. And basically, these competitions are held to see which horse can pull the most. And one Belgian draft horse can pull up to 8,000 pounds by itself. But when you pair it with another Belgian draft horse that they are not familiar with, they're not friends, they're not homies, they haven't kicked it, they didn't grow up together, they do not know each other. These are two stranger Belgian draft horses. They can pull up to 3 times their weight. They can pull up to 20 to 24,000 pounds. Not double, because together we're connected as two Belgian draft horses. We don't know each other, but we're still getting the fucking job done. But when those Belgian draft horses know each other and have been raised together and grew up together and went to the same elementary school together, those Belgian draft horses can pull up to 30 to 32,000 pounds, which is up to 4 times as much as a single horse. So the thought process here is simply by the horses having a connection with each other, that they are able to pull more than they would ever be able to pull with some horse that fucking they don't know from around the block that they've never met before, right? And I mean, again, a connected Belgian racehorse team is a dangerous racehorse team. And that's what we're talking about here when Torey brings up this concept, is that yes, players, you get these players together, they're very good players, they can have success, but sometimes, especially not just through that 162 regular game season, but when you really need to pick each other up in the postseason, when you really need those guys to be heroes out of nowhere, the way that the young guys stepped up, the way that was Gabby one night, Alec another night, Corbin another night, that is, in Torey's mind and this organization's mind, a product of them putting together a clubhouse of guys that had a certain characteristic.
The elementary school thing was a nice touch. I'm glad that the horses did go to elementary school together.
You gotta have a history together. We've been together for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, Torey was basically talking here about, do the Diamondbacks put more of an emphasis on the quality of character of players, I guess, than maybe other teams do. I don't think there's a lot of low character players or anything in baseball necessarily, but it has felt, particularly during this Mike Hazen, Torey Lovullo era. And I think the Diamondbacks at large as an organization have kind of always valued this to some degree. It's felt that the Diamondbacks, that's really important to them, bringing in guys into the clubhouse who, either they're familiar with already. In the case of Eduardo Rodriguez, there were already relationships there with both Torey Lovullo and Mike Hazen. They knew the kind of guy they were getting. Yeah. Or, other guys that the organization is bringing in. I think they really value the clubhouse aspect of things and making sure that dynamic is a positive one. It's certainly been a narrative with this team for a while that a lot of these young players have kind of grown up together, gone to, in this analogy, elementary school is like the minor leagues. They kind of came up together in that way. And we've seen that. We've seen that in the majors really pay dividends for this Diamondbacks team.
And I mean, again, there is like you said, there's something about them pursuing guys that they have known and they have been pursuing, right? We talked at the trade deadline about the Diamondbacks possibly going after Erod and trying to bring him over. What a good fit he would be at that time. Sure. And of course, we don't ever get confirmation on guys they didn't successfully trade for, that was the route they were going down, but you can tell the interest was there, and that's because they felt like he was that dynamic, right? He fit that dynamic. We know that with Gino. We talked about yesterday, Paul Sewald getting the phone call, right, about, from Mike Hazen about bringing Gino over and what his thoughts were. So, I mean, that stuff obviously matters to this organization, and so far it's made a difference. I mean, we don't know, right? We don't know how 2024 is going to go. We don't know how all of the new pieces are going to fit in. But for the most part, it really does feel like this team is coming together in a really short amount of time.
Yeah. And I think back to what Ryan Thompson said when he was on our show a week or two ago about realizing over the course of his career how dangerous a connected team can be. Of course, channeling his inner Torey Lovullo with those words. But yeah, it's something that we hear from the players as well. I do think this is a real thing in this clubhouse, and not to say that other teams don't have good clubhouse dynamics too, or that other teams don't also value, making sure that the players they bring in are of high quality and will mesh well with other players and whatnot. But this organization in particular seems to emphasize that.
Can't you see, though, from a distance at least, and of course, there's no quantifiable way to know if this is accurate or not, but like, isn't this the reason why, super teams like the San Diego Padres don't necessarily work out? Isn't this the reason why the Mets,
case to be made? Yeah.
Like there's just something to be said, because baseball, I guess more so than other sports, feels like you cannot just go out there and buy and assemble your team and have that team come together and find success, right? And maybe the problem with that is the big personalities, the not meshing well together, right? Hopefully that's what happens to the Dodgers as far as from a Diamondbacks perspective, because they do have a lot of big personalities, a lot of new names coming together, and that team needs to figure out a way to find some sort of chemistry in order for them to have success.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if, Shohei Ohtani is necessarily the big ego guy that some other superstars are in this game.
Well, okay. I won't say there's anything wrong with Shohei Ohtani's attitude. We all know that he's a little baby angel, and we all love him so much, right? But again, there are things. For yourself. I know you've gotten on that train. I get it.
Bad guy.
I get it.
It's verifiable.
I get it. You don't hold back when it comes to.
He chose evil.
He did chose evil. But I mean, there has been a lot of things with him that, especially with that decision, right, that kind of made him out a little bit to be like a prima donna, even if it wasn't intentional. Even it was just him trying to be private about his decision and trying to not have it turn in to the circus that it turned into. But there's still a lot of personalities in that clubhouse that need to come together. I think the Diamondbacks have an advantage there when it comes to what they're building here. And also, like they said about guys like Erod, these guys wanted to be a part of this team. So it feels like you're building with guys that also want to join in. A part of joining in is learning the culture here. Torey talked about that today, about the culture of the clubhouse and about everything like that. And that's, again, when you take a look at an 84-win team last year and what they were able to do, you could see how that, those little characteristics could be the thing that made them so dangerous once the playoffs came around.
Yeah, Torey talked about today how this is a conversation that he and Mike have had, specifically about the clubhouse and how important it is to Torey that the guys that are being brought in don't just fill needs from a baseball standpoint, but also will fit in well. He told an interesting story about how Paul Goldschmidt was sort of like the center of the clubhouse and kind of making sure that things were good when Torey first arrived, 2017, 2018, and then 2019 comes, the pandemic happens. Torey talked about how there was some disconnectedness over the course of the pandemic, which of course I think all of us felt that and experienced that for sure. And in 2021, a really rough season for the Diamondbacks, Torey said that he basically wrote down like some of his core principles. And it sounds like since then, the Diamondbacks have really made it a priority that anyone who walks in the door and wears that Diamondbacks uniform is compatible with those things that Torey wrote down back in 2021. And yeah, I mean, it certainly seems like it's worked out well.
Groundhog Mama says that's why Trevor Bauer is unemployed. No one wants to connect with him. And given how he acted towards Miguel Montero the first time around, connecting is not in Bauer's nature. And maybe that's a great point. I mean, again, sometimes the talent is there, but the personality that goes along with the talent is absolutely not worth what it could do to your clubhouse, what it could do to your team, no matter how good that guy is every 5 days. We know you guys are good every single day, no matter what day of the week it is. You guys are here with us. We thank you guys for being here. Thank you for being a part of our family over here at GoPHNX.com. You know we're connected. But of course, make sure you're subscribed to our PHNX Sports YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. Sign up for notifications. That way you don't miss when any of our wonderful shows go live. Drop us a like. We always appreciate you doing that. We love our attaboys. There's Gabby. Oh, that man hits the hell out of a baseball, by the way. That's been another guy we haven't talked about nearly enough, smashing baseballs out at Salt River Field and throwing them like some sort of magician wizard with his arm that's in cannon. Of course, if you guys are listening on the audio podcasting side, make sure to subscribe over there. Leave us a review. We always appreciate that feedback. And of course, we also appreciate when we get to kick it with you guys out at Illegal Pete's. You know that's where Damon always is. And of course, it's probably a little disappointed we didn't go there for dinner last night, because that's like Damon inviting us over to his house. But if you want to go check out Damon's house and get some piping hot queso and have some amazing food, including the reverse nachos that still live on to this day thanks to Sean DePaz, and all the other wonderful food they have to offer, bowls, tacos, salads, burritos, nachos, all of this great stuff. Check out Illegal Pete's. They have all sorts of great specials. You can kick the Monday blues with $3 margaritas all day long, or ease your way back into the week with $2 tacos every Tuesday. See, we missed out on $2. Yesterday was Tuesday.
It is true, though. Whenever I say, do you guys want to come over, hang out?
That's what you mean.
Like, yeah. They're like, cool, yeah, Derek and Jesse will be like, send the address, and I'll literally send them the Illegal Pete's address.
Illegal Pete's address.
But
that implies that Damon is paying if we come over to his house. That's the way it works.
He's not wrong,
right? I mean, like if you came over to my house, right, I wouldn't like charge you at the door.
I heard
for anything
Max
like
is
that.
buying
Right?
No, that you'd be a terrible host for doing that if you charged me.
Yeah, that'd be awful.
Like, oh,
yeah.
here's some nachos. Can I have $9, please? Like,
yeah, I'm not Venmo requesting you.
I
after
heard
that.
Max is buying burritos.
I did heard, and beers, but specifically burritos. Yeah, Max is doing that, and now he's meandering in here like some sort of zombie because he heard his name. You didn't get your tattoo, so now you're buying burritos. That's what the word on the street is. So
Max is buying burritos.
I think,
no, don't say it like
I think Illegal Pete said that. It's Illegal Pete's brother, but I don't know for sure. Of course, if you want to make Max buy your food, go check out Illegal Pete's. If you work in healthcare or education, you can take your team to lunch at Illegal Pete's every Tuesday, and Max will buy them buy one get one free entrees. So. And don't forget to unwind after a long day at their happy hour, 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. every day. Margaritas on Max. Illegal Pete, your go-to spot for burritos, buddies, and beer. He's coming back.
They actually sent us a nice
Oh, did they? Yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
With a little what's called thing inside. Oh yeah, don't worry about that. What's inside.
See, he's a monster, and that's why we attack him on this show. Of course, that doesn't mean I'm still not going to go watch baseball games with this man, because I love hanging out with him, and you can make sure to not miss out on baseball games. If you want to go spring training games, regular season games, postseason games, it doesn't matter. Game Time has your back, and especially if you decide to go to those games last minute, because it is the place for last minute ticket deals. You can shop without the stress. It's the fastest growing ticketing app in the country for a reason. And of course, you can download the app right now, create an account, and use code PHNX, the 4 best letters in the alphabet, for your $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and use code PHNX for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. MLB Network dropped their top 100 players, I guess you could say.
Well, they're almost there. They've done 11 through 100 at this point.
Yeah, they're really dragging this on.
Use the process
just so that
of elimination.
Yeah, we just want to fight with them. They want an argument, and they're drawing the argument out. But what did they call? I felt like they called it like top 100 players. Like it was like a hashtag like real hot or something like that. I don't know what the hell they're doing, but it's the top 100 players in baseball. And of course, there are plenty of Arizona Diamondbacks on that list. There are plenty of Arizona Diamondbacks that didn't make that list. But of course, the most notable one would be our baby boy, Corbin Carroll, who was ranked 18th overall. Corbin Carroll is considered by MLB Network to be the 18th best player in Major League Baseball. And I want to argue with it, but I also want to be just happy about it, right? Like, I feel like it's both of those things. I feel like he's underrated. I feel like looking at some of the names that are above him, that there are a couple of guys that maybe he should be ranked over, higher over, but he has only done it for one season. And there is that. I think that is a difference here with him and some of the younger guys versus some of the guys that have done this now for 5 years plus at a elite level.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, going through the names, they've got Carroll at 18, 17 is Spencer Strider, which I guess that's fine. I mean, Strider had a higher 3 ERA last year, but the swing and miss is ridiculous. I wouldn't be surprised if he had a 2.5 ERA in 2024. Trey Turner at 16, Austin Riley at 15, Jose Ramirez 14, Matt Olson 13, Mike Trout 12, Bryce Harper 11. I don't know if it's like obvious that Corbin Carroll should be higher than any of those guys, but I think you could make an argument on basically all of them. Trey Turner in particular, he did not have a especially great year last year with the Philadelphia Phillies. Right. I think Trey Turner at his best is a phenomenal player. His ceiling is about as high as anyone in the sport.
But Jesse, they had to give the man a standing ovation to get him out of a slump.
I think that if you ask just about anyone right now, they would take Corbin Carroll over Trey Turner.
Derek.
Best fans in baseball.
Turner last year hit 266 with a 111 OPS plus, 26 homers, 76 RBI, 30 stolen bases. Like Corbin Carroll had a way better season in 2023. It's not really close.
And trajectory wise, like again, that's what it is. It's almost like more about what Trey Turner's done in the past rather than right now, which is what that list is saying that it is, right? This is the top 100 right now. Who's the hottest in baseball? Corbin Carroll did something that nobody really has done. And I mean, that's just his rookie season. Like there are times where players do have that sophomore slump. There are times where players have a hard time living up to setting, an incredible standard the way that Corbin Carroll set last year. But if there is one guy I know is going to come out this year and I can put my money on being better than he was last year, it's Corbin Carroll. It's the guy that was out there at Salt River Fields completely by himself in November training like a maniac. It's the guy that got locked inside of a high school here in town because during COVID, he just needed to go out and take some BP. That is a man that won't stop getting better at what he does until he doesn't do it anymore. And maybe that might be what causes him to not play baseball anymore. Once he realizes he can't continue to get better, maybe that'll finally cause him to stop. But Corbin Carroll is just an incredible person, especially when we talk about the character side of things. When we talk about the Diamondbacks looking at that aspect, that's such a big reason why they were so high on him, and that really has paid off. I mean, you can look at Corbin Carroll and say, oh, he's undersized, oh, he's not going to have that much power, or he's not going to have this, he's not going to have that. Maybe he won't be able to play at a major league level. Well, he outworked everybody. He outworked everyone in the room, and he will continue to do so. So I think that's the difference here with Corbin and why I would be a little bit more adamant about him being ranked a little higher. I am not going to split hairs here, though. I mean, the fact that he's ranked in the top 20 should be it's a huge acknowledgement to him and all that he accomplished last year and what people around baseball think of him as a player, right? Like that's incredible for him to, in his second season, be considered a top 20 baseball player in MLB.
Absolutely, yeah, and I think there's some validity to the case of he's only been one full season at this point. We did see in the second half of the 2023 season, Corbin wasn't quite as good offensively as he was in the first half. There were some adjustments made against him. He seemed to adjust back. He finished the year pretty well in the playoffs. Had some really, really big moments with the Diamondbacks, helping them get to the World Series. But yeah, I mean, I do think you could make a case for Corbin to be higher on this list. I mean, I even look at it feels outrageous to be arguing that Corbin Carroll should be higher than Mike Trout on this list, given how the career that Mike Trout has had.
Is it now? Are we talking about right now? Are we talking about the 2024 season? Because if that's the case, that might
when
be
Mike
true.
Trout plays, yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty. I mean, you look at their numbers from 2023, I think it's pretty comparable. But Mike Trout's not playing that much. I mean, if you just look at his last few seasons, Mike Trout played 82 games in 2023, 119 in 2022, only 36 in 2021. There's a pretty serious durability issue there. And I think you could make arguments with other guys. I mean, Bryce Harper, outstanding player. I mean, to have him as the cornerstone of your franchise, there's not that many guys you'd pick over him, but he's a first baseman at this point, right? And Corbin provides a lot more defensive value, roaming around in the outfield, and the guy he is as a base runner, he just gives you a lot. He has a more well-rounded game than Bryce Harper does. So there are cases to be made. I don't know if I would push too hard on any of it because Corbin still does have, he does still have to prove it for another season, for, maybe another couple seasons before people are going to be willing to give him the respect that he might deserve today.
Let's put our argumentative nature, or our argumentative energy at least, towards the other guys that made the list, because some of those guys you could also say deserve to be ranked higher. Zach Gallen ranked number 31 overall. Not great.
Yeah, that one is tough. I'm looking at other starting pitchers that are ahead of him that have popped up so far. They have Spencer Strider ahead of him. They have Zach Wheeler ahead of him. Corbin Burns, Blake Snell. They have at 30. So Blake Snell is one spot higher than Zach Gallen.
Okay, well, all right, maybe that's not so. They're not valuing pitchers very much so far on this. I guess in numbers like 20 to 11.
They have Fernando Tatis at 26. I think Manny Machado at 24. That feels a little high to me. Like I would personally rather have Zach Gallen on my team than Manny Machado at this stage in his career.
Yeah.
Machado had a bit of a down year by his standards in 2023. I certainly think he could bounce back, but he's not the player that he was a couple years ago. So yeah, you could make a case for Gallen to be a little bit higher. Am I necessarily, would I be super angry about Corbin Burns being higher than Zach Gallen? Not necessarily. I mean, they're pretty similar. I'd probably have them in the same range as well. Zach Wheeler a few spots ahead. I don't think it's egregious. I think he's roughly where he should be on this list.
Can we talk about the Braves for a second on this list? Unbelievable. 8 names on just like the top this many alone.
Top 30, 20?
Yeah, Acuna might be number 1.
Yeah.
2.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, I mean, but they honestly, they're a really good team. And Matt Olson, I think Matt Olson is very good. I don't have a problem with him being ranked where he is.
I mean, he just hit 54 bombs, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's just something. There comes a point where you got to give the Braves their due, right? But, I don't know. Are the Braves a connected team? Do they have team chemistry?
That is the big question. Do they know about the Belgian horses?
Yeah, do they know about the Belgian Draft horses? Because if they don't know, we don't need to tell them. They don't need to understand that particular philosophy. But there are a couple of other guys here that I think you could argue and make a case for being a little bit higher. Christian Walker at number 58. That's actually fairly decent, I think, for him. But Ketel Marte at 65. That just seems low. And I mean, I know maybe it's Marte's defensive value and some other things here, but did this man not just set an MLB record in the playoffs for consecutive hits in games? Like,
sure.
There's just something to be said about what he did and how good he looked towards the end. There was a part of the year when we were saying Ketel was the only good offensive player on this team last year. So, I mean, Ketel was consistent. He played a lot last year, and of course, he was just a huge part of what they did in the postseason. And I'm calling it now. Ketel's hitting 30 bombs this year.
Okay,
Ketel's hitting 30 bombs.
25 last year. It's not too far away.
No, and I mean, from what I've seen this spring, I don't get it. I don't understand what's going on, but he is smashing the ball. Him and Gabriel Moreno are smashing the ball when I watch them take live BP or BP in any capacity.
Yeah, I'm looking at guys ahead of Ketel. So yeah, he's at 65. We do have Kyle Schwarber at 57.
Egregious.
That seems
egregious.
That seems pretty aggressive.
Egregious. The man had the lowest defensive value in baseball last year.
I mean, he's a horrific defender, but
egregious.
To be fair, he's not. I don't think he's going to play much outfield in 2024. I think the Phillies have found their way around that. He was outstanding in the postseason. We certainly saw that. He's a great player. Like, I would want Kyle Schwarber as my designated hitter for sure. But, when you're a DH only and you are coming off a season in which you hit 197, I'm not sure.
197.
I'm not sure we should be putting this guy at 57.
I'll tell you what, Ohtani's DH only this year, and I bet you they're going to put him at like number 1.
Yeah, well,
it'll be interesting to see how they do that.
Be Ronald Acuna at number 1
because Ohtani's just hurt. Yeah. So I don't know how they're gonna.
Yeah, but it should be like his value currently now to the team. And I mean, it's not to say he's not a top 10 player, but if he's not pitching, that definitely limits his value to the team. Gabriel Moreno at number 94, also egregious. But I understand. I know that the jury is still out a little bit on Gabby, but it shouldn't be. Gabby's going to be one of the best catchers in baseball, and he's going to be one of the best catchers for years to come.
So they've got Adley Rutschman, Will Smith, JT Realmuto, Sean Murphy. Those guys are all top 50. They have both Contrerases. They have both of them. William is 81. Wilson is 82.
Yeah, 81 and 82.
Sure,
what the fuck?
Are we sure MLB Network knows the difference?
I think they just were like, I don't know. We'll just put them both here. Maybe no one will notice.
So they have, and then they have Cal Raleigh at 93, and then it's Gabriel Moreno at 94. So there are, I believe that's 7 catchers higher than Gabriel Moreno.
I would like to have a word.
I don't think it's egregious. I mean, honestly, Gabriel Moreno, if you just look at his first half from 2023, before he came back from the shoulder injury, he had an OPS under 700, and he was doing the catching thing. Like, his defense was phenomenal the whole way through, but he really stepped things up toward the end of the year. So I think there's a world in which Gabriel Moreno next year on this list is pretty dang high if he finds a way to repeat what he did in the second half over the course of a full season offensively. But we're still pretty early in Gabriel Moreno's career. I'm honestly kind of surprised that he made this list in the first place. I think his World Series performance has a lot to do with him being on this list.
But what about Elly De La Cruz at number 100, right? I mean,
Elly De La Cruz at 100 is ridiculous. Yeah, I'm just gonna say that's dumb.
He said it, not me.
I am as big of a believer as anyone that MLB needs to be better at marketing their young players trying to put as much cool content about Elly De La Cruz and some of these young players out there as possible. But to put him on lists that he just clearly doesn't belong on yet, not to say he won't. I mean, Elly De La Cruz could be 30 on this list next year, and it wouldn't shock me.
Yeah,
but the player that we saw in 2023, valuable in some ways. I mean, defensively, the base running, but offensively, he's still a little ways away.
Jesse just called Elly De La Cruz a TikTok baseball player.
He said mid.
That's exactly what he just called him.
He did.
He said he's a social media baseball
which
player.
Means he will be on MLB The Show's cover next year.
The clips are awesome.
Yeah.
When he steals home, that's great.
Oh, it's so cute when he does that stuff.
Cute.
The one time he did it, but what about the other 900 times he struck out?
Put some cool music behind it.
He had an 89 OPS plus, Derek. An 89 OPS plus. You cannot put a player with an 89 OPS plus on a top 100 list, no matter how great you think they're going to be.
Right.
He's just not there yet.
And this really isn't a projection. I mean, I guess it is, but it's not. This should be about who they feel is the top
100
best.
right now.
Right now. And you know who didn't make it right now? Merrill Kelly didn't make it right now. And Elly De La Cruz is 100. And that, once again, is egregious. I don't like it at all. Merrill Kelly deserves better. They talked about Merrill Kelly today, and Merrill, he came into his final form almost in the postseason last year. This guy was incredible for the Diamondbacks. And again, we say this often about Arizona sports teams, especially ones that struggle. They don't get the stage, they don't get the platform for people to see them. So of course, nationally, they won't get recognized. That's bullshit. This team went to the goddamn World Series last year, and you got to watch Merrill Kelly go out there and
7 innings, 1 run.
Do that.
9 strikeouts, I think it was in game 2.
Right. So let's put some respect on Merrill's name.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting. They have both Rangers pitchers on here. Just the last 2 starters to make the list. Yeah, Montgomery at 90, now. Nathan Eovaldi at 91. I mean, I think you could make a case for Merrill to be higher than potentially either of those guys. Eovaldi didn't throw that many innings last year. He was outstanding throughout the majority of the playoffs. Montgomery also good in the playoffs for the Rangers. Had a pretty good season all the way around. I don't know. Like, there's no one on this list that I'm clearly like, okay, Merrill Kelly is clearly a better starting pitcher than that player. They have. Who else is in here? They have Tyler Glasnow, Kyle Bradish, and George Kirby. Those guys are all in the 70s. Those are all really good starting pitchers. I mean, I know Kyle Bradish, there's some injury questions there right now, so we'll see what that turns into for the Orioles. But he was about as good of a pitcher as anyone in the second half of last season for the Orioles. So I don't know if I find this to be super egregious, to be totally honest, but Merrill is right on the cusp, and I think you could argue, if anything, he should be higher than some of the position players that I think are on the list, like Elly De La Cruz.
Elise says this list is overall pretty terrible. I don't take MLB or their rankings very seriously. I mean, I agree with you. It got to the point where the thought drifted into my head of asking Torey his thoughts on Corbin Carroll being considered a top 20 player. And I just really had a moment where I'm like, if I was a manager, would I give a shit about what they thought about my player? Like, I think all my players are fucking awesome, and I think all my players are the best, and that's how I think about them. And I don't know. They're like, yes, if he's 18th, no, that's too low, because in my mind, Corbin Carroll is a top 5 player, and that might be how Torey considers it. But that's why all of this ranking and all this stuff, even stuff we do, it's just a chance to have these conversations. But most of the time, it's going to be wrong, and it's going to be proven wrong as the season goes on. I think guys like Merrill Kelly, I think Eduardo Rodriguez is going to very much find a way to prove he belongs on this top 100 list. So we'll see how things evolve throughout the season. But I don't really care, because I don't think the Diamondbacks need guys necessarily to be considered the best players in baseball. It goes back once again to this team chemistry, this teamwork concept where, at times – you might take a team where more guys are all hitting that 20 to 30 home run mark, rather than you having that one guy that hits 50 and then everybody else kind of is whatever, right? Or you might have 2 guys that hit, 30 or 40 home runs and then the rest of the team doesn't. I think this team is going to be a very well-rounded team, and I think that might be part of it, is that we see contributions from all over the lineup versus it just being the superstars, the Corbin Carrolls, maybe kind of doing all the work.
They have Max Muncy at 79.
Okay, I'm done.
That's
I'm
interesting.
Done.
That one was nuts to me.
Throw the goddamn list in the trash.
Carlos Correa at 68. I mean, that's interesting. Like, Carlos Correa obviously has been such a good player in the past, but the player that he was in 2023 was not that guy. He had a 94 OPS plus. I don't know if I'd still have him in the top 70. We could talk about this for a long time.
I know. Fun fact, I used to live in the same city in Puerto Rico that Carlos Correa was born in. That's where I went to high school for a short period of time.
You guys are connected and dangerous?
We are connected and dangerous. Well, if we were Belgian draft horses, we would definitely pull more than 2 Belgian draft horses that fucking didn't grow up in the same city together or whatever. But anyway, speaking of Belgian draft horses and working together, you can work together like a pair of Belgian draft horses with the BetMGM Sportsbook app to bring home a similar prize. Maybe it's not a trophy, but you could bring home lots and lots of money. If you sign up right now and deposit at least $5 into your newly created account, and you use our bonus code of PHNX, you will receive $150 in bonus bets after you just place one wager, at least $5 at standard odds price. But you will receive those $150 in bonus bets regardless of the outcome of your wager. Sign up right now and use that bonus code of PHNX. Place your first BetMGM Sportsbook wager through the Sportsbook mobile application for at least $5. You will receive $150 instantly in additional winnings, regardless of your wager's outcome. Check out the show notes for full details. And now listen to Damon talk about the disclaimer.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Available in the U.S. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 New York. Call 1-800-327-5050 Massachusetts. 21 plus to wager. Please gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP Arizona. 1-800-BETS-OFF Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help Michigan. 1-800-981-0023 Puerto Rico in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Visit BetMGM.com for terms. This promotional offer is not available in New York, Nevada, Ontario, or Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico. Wow, you went low.
I went low on that one.
Baritone
on it. Yeah, it's got to switch it up sometimes. And speaking of switching it up, sometimes you just got to go out on an adventure. This guy loves adventures.
I do.
I mean, let me tell you, just based on the part of town he took us to last night, he loves adventures, right? But you can explore the entire state of Arizona yourself and go on some wonderful adventures.
Are in sketchy areas.
They really are. They really are. Where you think you're lost and you're like, this is a neighborhood. This is not where a restaurant is. And then at the end of the block, there's a restaurant.
I will say getting there with the turn was really weird because it felt like you were getting onto the freeway.
Yes.
Yeah, I missed 2 turns.
Yeah, I missed it as well. I had to U-turn.
It took me about 20 minutes
but
to get to a place that was 2 miles away.
Not that bad.
No,
it was fine.
No, it wasn't sketchy. It was an interesting area, and it was an adventurous night where we had some amazing food. But you yourself can take an amazing adventure with Arizona Lottery, because they are letting you not only go to 10 locations around the valley where you can go on some geolocated adventures yourself, but you can also have a chance to win up to $1 million in cash and Arizona travel prizes by checking in at destination coordinates on the website. Visit azadventure.com for details and directions, but you can visit places like we were talking about this while you were gone, Damon, the Chuck Huckleberry Loop in Tucson, Arizona. No, you're a huge fan. Spent a lot of time there hanging out.
Spent his whole childhood there.
That's
I'm
right.
pretty sure. I mean, where else was he supposed to go?
That's right. I do like that they have things here in town, though, like the Hole in the Rock at Papago Park here in Phoenix and all sorts of places. So make sure to check it out. Of course, the promotion celebrates state pride, and it's all about getting people out to go check out the beauty of this majestic state we live in. Arizona Lottery says the proceeds from ticket sales support environmental conservation, among other important initiatives across the state. Visit azadventure.com for more information on how you can take an adventure with Arizona Lottery and a chance to win $1 million in cash and Arizona travel prizes. Shout out to Arizona Lottery for sponsoring all of our spring training videos and stuff that we're going to be bringing you on social. So make sure to keep it locked there. If you haven't signed up for a Die Hard membership, make sure to do so now. It's a great time to get down on it. You will get discounts on our events, including our takeover on July 31st versus the Washington Nationals out at Chase Field. So make sure to not miss that. Make sure to not miss all the wonderful things we have to offer with our membership, including a free t-shirt from the PHNXlocker.com, discounts with our partners, all of Jesse's content, access to our Discord lounge and our Die Hard only content, which we are going to be doing a Mailbag Wednesday episode this week where we are going to be answering your questions from the Discord and bringing it to you. So, of course, do not miss on all this wonderful stuff we have to offer over here. Get yourself a membership today over at gophnx.com. Jesse, I am sick and tired of talking about jerseys in a negative way. I love jerseys. You know I love jerseys. I own lots of jerseys. I wear them on this show. Most of the time, they're Suns jerseys, but I do have some Diamondbacks jerseys. And I continue to see this saga continue with MLB and these Fanatics jerseys that they're producing.
Saying that when Major League Baseball makes pants that are see-through, it's a bit of a problem.
I am saying that. The jerseys are getting all, like, it's weird because it's like the discussion seems to be centered around the jerseys. Today on MLB.com, they had an article dropped kind of backing their own jersey. Like it's an article explaining how the jersey was created based on feedback from teams and players and people around baseball and scientists. They had crazy, rocket scientists and people that do things like that involved, for viscosity and, stretchability, all this bullshit. We get it. The jerseys are fine.
You can't argue with science.
I don't think anybody has said like they have a problem with the jersey itself, right? The complaints we have is from the way that they put the patches on the jerseys, where they put names, numbers, the size of those things, how they look. Like the material is fine. And I have not heard, in fact, the players we've talked to very much like the jerseys. They think they're great. They think they feel great to wear. That's not the problem. The problem is some of the visual things on the jersey, right? The logos, specifically the names across the back are tiny. Someone else said earlier that we can fit Belgian Draft horse on the back of a horse now, thanks to how small the letters are. We absolutely could do that. And that's not what people want. They want the letters to look quality. They want them to pop. They want them to have that same quality we've had for years. But like you said, the pants. Nobody's talking about how bad the pants situation is. And if you want to see, look at these pants. Look at how transparent the MLB's Fanatics produced pants. Sports Illustrated, they don't leave much to the imagination. Look at that. Look at Shohei. Like, I can see a lot there, Jesse. I can see decoy in this picture, if you know what I mean. Like, I can see it all. There is a ridiculous amount of transparency through these pants. Now, is it going to be a thing where, you see something? No, it's not that. It's not a matter of like.
Fortunately, jerseys are long enough that you tuck in your jersey, it goes down pretty far.
Hopefully, you're wearing some Spanx or whatever underneath. The thing here is that it just looks terrible, right? It's just a matter of this is photo day, and this is what the Dodgers players look like. And I mean, I don't know why this is important that it's the Dodgers, but like if you figure if anybody had money to fix a problem, it would be the Dodgers. And if the Dodgers can't overcome Fanatics' terrible pants, then nobody can, Jesse. This is a problem. And Major League Baseball Players Association has been in talks with MLB about getting this rectified. I don't know what they are exactly, discussing with them or what the true pain points are, but I feel like transparent pants, the lack of options for pants, the fact that they've cut back and reduced the amount of sizing options that players can have to make them fit the way they do, and just the terrible way the numbers and letters look. I just, this whole thing feels like a disaster.
Yeah, it feels increasingly like MLB is going to have to change something here. I know you mentioned the article that they had, and they're doing everything they can from a PR standpoint to protect themselves and make sure people know the technology, the science, all these things. But yeah, I mean, again, we've heard. I've talked to a couple players about this and heard positive things. Haven't talked to a ton about it. But there's clearly a consensus across the game at large right now that these uniforms have something going for them and that they feel great. No one's questioning the feel of these uniforms, but the look, the quality of the patchwork, the way that the letters and numbers work, all these things you were talking about, there's a consensus there. It appears that it's kind of a problem.
I think the main problem here is that it doesn't feel like they're addressing what people are complaining about, right? So like it's like being in an argument with someone that can't stay on topic, and you're like, like if I was telling you, Jesse, why does your polo shirt look so weird? You should have your little, your little horse polo player over here, but it's like all off centered and weird in the center of your shirt. And then you're like, yeah, but the zipper works really well and the thread quality is great. And I'm like, yeah, I don't care. The fucking logo is wrong on that shirt. Did you get this in like a discount bin or something? What the hell is this, right? So it's like, it's weird for people to be saying like, hey, we don't like the way the names look on the back. And they're like, but have you felt this fabric? It's amazing. And you're like, yeah, I don't give a shit. I didn't say there was a problem with the fabric. I said it was a problem with the way that your tiny ass letters look on the back. Now, I still feel like seeing the Diamondback spring training jerseys up close, that they look great.
Yeah,
and
I still think
trust me, I took a really close look at that Montilla jersey yesterday, as close of a look as I was allowed to without things getting weird. And the thread, the everything looked great on it. I mean, it really did. And I don't even think the Diamondbacks letters look that small or look that off-putting. Again, though, there's nothing to compare them to, so that's why it makes it easier for the Diamondbacks, considering they have this the new jerseys this year, that we don't look back on last year's and say, oh, well, look at how different this looks from last year's, right? So, yeah. I mean, from that perspective, we are not doing what some of the other teams around baseball are doing, but their gripes, I think, are fairly understandable.
Yeah, I think so too. Transparent pants.
Yeah.
Don't think that's gonna fly.
Known baseball GM Elise says maybe this is why they are trying to get rid of the super tight pants players like. Yeah. Can't have both. Can't have them be transparent and super tight, because then that goes back to that whole nudity issue. And I know there might be some never nudes in baseball, and we have to worry about them. But why is Fanatics so bad at this? It infuriates me on so many levels, because like Fanatics did burst on the scene when it came to like fan wear, right? It's like one day Fanatics existed, and then next thing you know, Fanatics was taking over the whole sports world. Like, and again, we made our jokes. We knew that Fanatics branded shit was low quality, and then stuff stopped getting funny when Fanatics made the NHL jerseys. We were like, wait, seriously? Not just the replicas, not just the ones fans buy? You're making the actual jerseys that the players wear. And I mean, that's where this feels like a really bad problem, because it doesn't feel like Fanatics, even though they've had time to deal with this and have time to adapt and get better at this, they're not. And it doesn't really feel like at times they really care about getting it right.
Yeah.
That's it. We're done.
You covered it.
We're done with this. Again, the big takeaway here is, what can I do to swap jerseys with a mail-in Montilla? That's all I really want to know. Because I want his jersey bad. Of course, maybe I could save some money, and a good way to do so would be go check out Desert Financial Credit Union. Desert Financial did get me started on my home ownership journey, and I'm so glad they did, because I don't know if I can afford rent with the way this world has gone. But for more than 84 years, Desert Financial has been Arizona's largest, most trusted local credit union, and they have been dedicated to creating exceptional experience for their customers and for the community that they're in. You can look to Desert Financial for mortgages, checking, savings accounts, loans, credit cards, investment options, and so much more. Make sure you bank with a financial institution that has your best interests in mind. When you open a free checking account online, you can get $200 in bonuses. Get started by visiting desertfinancial.com/200 right now. And we talked about food. We talked about we've talked about food too many times on the show. I'm so hungry. And I got Someburros in my neighborhood. So if you have Someburros in your neighborhood, you're a lucky person like I am. They just have their new locations, one in Goodyear, one in Peoria, and of course, the area of town. Jesse literally he put it into the map as Anthem, my house, which is the I-17 and Joe Max area. And oddly enough, his map basically did give an accurate time as to how long it would take me to get home. Of course, you can visit all of these locations or visit someburros.com to find one near you. You got to check out their Fiesta platters. It'll make throwing your events at your home and not somewhere else's place, events at your home, easy with all their mouth-watering red and green chili beef mini chimneys, homemade taquitos, chips, fresh guac, all of that stuff they have to offer. And do not sleep on Someburros breakfast. It's incredible. They have some incredible deals out there. The coffee, I mean, again, I would have never thought to put horchata in my coffee until an angel said to me, would you like some horchata in your coffee? And now I can't live my life without it. So check out Someburros today because it is the place to get time-tested Sonoran recipes here in town that have been lovingly prepared since 1986. Let Someburros cater your next event, big or small. Order online or find one near you by visiting someburros.com. Jesse, basically in 48 hours from now, I will be on a cruise ship heading out to the Bahamas.
I'm happy for you.
I know you're not happy for me. I know that was a lie. I know those words that came out of your mouth were inaccurate. I know that you do not care at all for me leaving you during this time. And I also know that the idea here that you won't be able to text me because I am not taking my phone on this trip with me.
You're not taking your phone?
No, I'm not going to have internet, though, out on the ocean water.
Derek,
so
what are you going to do?
Do not message me. Do not expect a response. I'm going to live, Jesse. I'm going to fucking live is what I'm going to do. Wow. I am going to be drunk for 72 straight hours. So as long as they don't throw me off that boat, I'm going to be having myself a good time. But when I come back, I can't wait to watch some baseball games. Meanwhile, you're going to be here holding it down Friday. Make sure to check out the post-game show, I guess, of the first spring training game.
Yeah. Let's overreact a little bit to some spring training results. We love that.
Guys played 2 innings. Let's yell about it. But anyway, can't wait for spring training games. Of course, we appreciate you guys being here, and we will be back tomorrow with our last spring training camp kind of update before those games start. So join us for that. In the meantime, follow us on Twitter. I am at cap_caveman with a K. Jesse is at Jesse N. Friedman. Our producer, the people's producer, Damon, is at Damon Dog. That's DAWG. We are still Damon's Dogs. Bark, bark. Our show is at PHNX_DBacks, but of course, all roads do lead to at PHNX_sports.
The bars
on
have
Twitter,
gotten so sad.
Instagram, and Facebook. He didn't have his heart in that one at all. I was going to address
no one
that.
has their heart in any of us.
It doesn't feel right now.
It's because we still know deep down inside we're Ryan's dogs.
No, it's because you guys know deep down you cheated on me, and then you can't live with yourself when you say we are Damon's Dogs. It's hard to even say it out loud.
It is because
you know you betrayed me.
I know. It's like, it's like a relationship has ended, but the other person doesn't, and those I love yous are so hollow and shallow. Groundhog Mama says, drunk Derek on the ship, keep him off his phone. I will be off the phone. Connor said, is there not Wi-Fi on this boat? There is, but I'm not paying for it because I'm going on a real vacation. But I'll make sure to post plenty of pictures when I get back. Of course, we thank you guys, for stopping by. We always appreciate your time. We love you. We thank you for being here. Have a wonderful rest of your day. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it is so much more fun when you're a Belgian horse, I guess.
We all silly like the mayor.